So that was Michael Cohen's own lawyer. CBS News Washington correspondent Paula Reid is in Washington. So, Paula, we've heard the president and his lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, over the past sort of week and a half or so, bring up Michael Cohen's father-in-law. What are the threats that Cohen believes he's hearing from the president and the president's attorney?
Well, since Cohen announced that he had agreed to testify before Congress, the president and his attorney, Rudy Giuliani, have made reference to Cohen's family. Now, I have not heard, Anne-Marie, any direct threats. But there are these veiled references. For example, the one you just heard in that Fox News interview. The president brings up the father-in-law, even suggests he should be investigated. In a separate cable news interview, Rudy Giuliani brings up the father-in-law and suggests, without any evidence, that he may be involved in organized crime. These statements, they could certainly possibly be defamatory, but it's not clear that they are making a direct threat. They're not saying, look, if you go before Congress, we're going to bust your kneecaps. And in an interview earlier today, Lanny Davis tried to defend this. He said the feeling of a threat, that's not something that can be analyzed. It's subjective. And Michael Cohen's family feels threatened. And he said, look, that's all you need.
So, you know, we've seen this sort of thing before, maybe in, I don't know, mobster movies or something like that, what some might consider sort of veiled suggestions. Is this something that could get the president or Rudy Giuliani into hot water? I mean, the president is obviously a very powerful man, so if he suggests, and he runs the Justice Department, so if he suggests that an individual should be investigated, that means something.
Absolutely. But let's take the first part of your question. Where have we seen this before? You don't even need to look at monster movies or Stranger Things. It used to be Michael Cohen who was issuing very explicit, very direct threats to anyone who tried to ask any questions that he didn't like about his former boss. Michael Cohen has repeatedly been recorded. Those recordings have been released, sort of showing everyone the kind of threats that he was issuing against other people. So for him to now come out and say, oh, I feel threatened, well, yeah, I think some people are sort of raising an eyebrow at that. But in terms of whether or not the president can be in trouble or in hot water, as you said, look, there's an ongoing investigation into whether or not the president has sought to obstruct justice in the Russia investigation. And they are certainly looking at comments that he has made about witnesses, not just Michael Cohen and these veiled references about his family, but also things he said about Paul Manafort, for example, dangling the possibility of a pardon. So this is already under investigation, how the president has behaved towards people who have become very valuable witnesses against him in the ongoing Russia investigation.
So I thought it was interesting that Michael Cohen said that he was postponing his testimony. I mean, he's going to prison in a matter of weeks, so I don't know how long he could really postpone it for. Is that significant that he said postpone and not cancel? And I mean, if he goes to prison, could he still be called to testify?
And Marie, I think you have it right there. I mean, he knew a lot of what was going to happen if he announced that he would testify. The president has been repeatedly attacking him since he flipped on the president and began cooperating with the government and with the special counsel. He knew that those attacks were only going to be ramped up. There have been no direct threats. So the question right now is, does he really feel threatened? Is that why he is postponing this? Or is he just expecting to be subpoenaed anyway, compelled to testify? He'll still get a story out while simultaneously raising questions about possible witness tampering, not only by the president, but also by his attorney. Lanny Davis is a very experienced political actor here in Washington, and I think we do have to wonder whether or not there's a broader strategy that's not just about safety, but also ultimately about political revenge. So it remains to be seen whether or not he will be subpoenaed. Lanny Davis said today that we will hear Michael Cohen's story. It's just not clear if it's going to take a subpoena to get him before Congress.
And you know, the president, when he was asked about this, said yesterday, listen, he's not being threatened by anyone. He's being threatened by the truth. That's what it is. And the president has, and his attorney they have been consistent, saying that Michael Cohen is lying. In fact, that's some of what we're talking about, is that they're saying, you know, he's lying to protect members of his family. But I want you to sort of remind people, I know Michael Cohen sort of confessed to lying in front of Congress, but you know, you don't go to prison just based strictly on a confession. There's additional evidence to support what Michael Cohen is saying.
That's right. Michael Cohen has admitted to being a liar. He has admitted that he lied to the government. He is about to go to jail for about 3 years for several offenses, including campaign finance violations and not being honest about money that was spent to pay women to be silent about their alleged affairs with the president leading up to the campaign. Also tax evasion. He was not honest with the government in terms of how much revenue he was making. And also he admitted to lying to Congress. So when the president or anyone else calls Michael Cohen a liar, well, that's a fact. That's something he has admitted to. And that's what makes him such a difficult witness in a congressional setting. Any Republican who gets a chance to ask him questions, the thing they're going to start with is, why should we believe anything that comes out of your mouth? Because last time you were here, you admitted you were not honest. So what is the value of having you here today? But Lanny Davis says that's not why his client isn't testifying. They say he's not afraid of partisan attacks. But again, he does not, right as of right now, have a date on the calendar. And this is someone who has repeatedly admitted to lying. So he is a problematic witness for the special counsel, for Congress. But ultimately, it remains to be seen whether or not he is going to once again testify.
Well, you know, they've said that he has been close with the president for many, many years. He knows much about the president's personal life, his political life, and his business life. And so many people are eager to find out what that testimony would be like. Paula, thank you so much.